It's coming up on 7/16 on a beautiful Thursday morning. Kind of cool outside these days, but
isn't that different?
There's a lot of times, though, where we've gone from winter to summer. Where it just
I know,
goes from,
and I love having some 70-degree weather, even some 60-degree weather for a while.
Nice. I got a light jacket on, it's comfortable, and you don't really have to have the air conditioning on. You can crack the windows a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think we've been without air conditioning for a while now, so it's
helps
nice.
on the old electric bill.
Oh yeah, it's just nice to be able to not have the heat and the air. But you know what? There's been some days when the air conditioning was on in the evening and the heat came on in the morning.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's been kind of interesting the last few days. So, but it is nice.
But we want to have folks, if you've got a radio that you can carry in by your computer or a laptop or an iPad that you can bring in by the radio, log in real quick to mountainhomechiro.com. Mountain Home is all spelled out, Chiro, Chiro. MountainHomeChiro.com. We're going to be talking about the website and a few things on there.
Yeah, we'll look at that in a little bit. But I thought we'd talk a little bit about, I like to bring in a lot of the things that we see in the office. And lately it's been a real problem with sciatica type issues.
Yeah.
And sciatica, is a real pain in the butt. And
No pun intended.
It's totally a pain in the butt. It really is. And it comes down the back of the leg, typical sciatica, can go all the way to the foot sometimes. And people are wondering what the heck is going on. A lot of times they'll get this start happening when they start getting active. We see it a lot when you start getting out in the garden and start working. Or you haven't been for a while. You've been cooped up in the house. Or golf. I get a lot of golfers who have that issue where they start playing again when it's been several months, and that golf swing can be kind of murderous on your lower back, and it can give you sciatica problems as well. So sciatica typically will come from vertebrae in the lower back that have gotten locked up, along with sacroiliac joints, which are the joints that hold your pelvis to the spine.
Yeah.
That's where they connect. And so the sciatic nerve kind of runs down the back of the leg, across that area, and there's a little tiny muscle called the piriformis muscle, and it can get really tight because it starts to spasm, usually because of joint dysfunction, with sacroiliac joint dysfunction, or L4, L5, the last couple lumbar vertebrae are putting pressure on the nerve that goes down to that area too. And so that little muscle starts to contract and puts pressure across that sciatic nerve. It runs right across the sciatic nerve, and then it tightens up so much that that's when you start getting the pain coming down the leg. So what we work with is the nerves that control that little muscle to get them to calm down and get that piriformis muscle to stop contracting. And we work with massage therapy quite a bit too with that. We have a great massage therapist there at the office, and he does a great job to help relieve a lot of the stress and tension that the muscles are putting on that area as well. But if we work it from several different areas, a lot of times we'll do ultrasound therapy on that muscle, and then we'll adjust the pelvis and the lower back and get all of those areas functioning so that the nerves work like they should, and then that pain that goes down the back of the leg starts to ease off. But, we talked before about some low back pain can go away really fast. Like, your son came in and, wham, right away, his low back pain was gone.
I'm glad you brought that up. He'd gone through, what do they call them, CAT scans or MRIs or something, several $1,000s worth of hospital bills. Go see Doc Osgood. Yeah, I did it. Go see Doc Osgood. Yeah. And the smile on his face when he walked out of your exam room.
Right.
I don't know that he's ever been back.
Right. He's a very young kid. He, one adjustment took care of it. But with sciatica problems, especially with a little older people, people our age and more, we can take a little bit of time to get that under control. Sometimes it can be a few weeks before it gets really under control.
I got a question for you. About 3-4 weeks ago, it was time to do some major maintenance on my vehicle, 153,000 miles. And, after that many miles, the front end starts needing some work. So I put all new. You get what's called a complete strut.
Yeah.
It's a quick strut. It comes with a new spring, new bushings, everything.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting out there, take the left front tire off, and I put the bearings in and all the components and tighten everything down. But I'm sitting on the concrete, and it's about 65, 70 degrees. And after about 4.5 hours of working on the vehicle and everything's picked up and put away, later on my hips are hurting.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
I don't mean it's just, I'm in so much. No, it's just that aggravating little...
Yeah, I mean,
pain.
sitting in one position for a long time, especially on the concrete, with your body bent like that, you're bent over, you're looking at the car, you're working on things under the car. The discs of the lower back are usually what's responsible for giving you the pain when you go to stand up, and then you can't stand up straight. And
you were there.
Yeah, that's those discs when you are bent like that for such a long period of time. Those discs are really putting pressure, especially if you have any degeneration of the discs. They're really putting pressure on the nerves that control those muscles in the lower back. And you get to when you stand up and you can't stand up because you're just bent over. You stay that way. So it takes a little while to get you to where it'll actually work again. But we have patients who, as simple a thing as they bent in the shower to pick something up, and bam, all of a sudden they can't straighten up. And I've actually had them come in my office, and you look at them, and they're like a C shape. They're bent over like not forward but sideways, where they're not straight up and down. They're like this C curved shape, and it's because those muscles of that low back are pulling so hard that they are actually causing them to not be able to be straight. Wow! And so it can be from the simplest thing, or it can be from just a lot of hard work when it comes to doing the physical labor that you do or whatever job that you have too. But all of those things can give you the problems that, we can fix. It's not something you have to live with. That's what a lot of folks just put up with it, and or taking pills or anti-inflammatories. Yeah, I mean, and the anti-inflammatories, don't get me wrong, they have their purpose, but if that's all you're living on,
but you can develop an immunity to that.
Right.
Then you have to increase that dosage or change one thing leads to another.
And why not, see if it's fixable? And typically most spinal problems that way are without having to do surgery.
It's kind of like this. You get a slow leak in your tire, and about every 2 days you go down and air the tire up.
Right.
And after about 14 days, you're sick and tired of airing it up.
Exactly.
Just go to the tire shop and patch the tire.
Right.
Then it's fixed.
Fix the problem.
Same thing with your back.
You gotta get to the source of the problem, and typically, I would say 90 to 95% of cases who come in my office, it's something we can work with.
Yeah.
It's typically not something that's out of our purview when it comes to sciatica, when it comes to headaches, lower back pain, upper back pain, even the arms, extremities, legs. We're talking knee joints, hip joints, elbows, wrists. All of those things can be adjusted and can be improved upon when it comes to the function. So,
talk a little bit about the common chiropractic myths.
Yeah, we were gonna kind of touch on that. If you go to my website, you can look at all different types of topics. All you gotta do is go to the top, and you can look at what chiropractic helps. And there's a section there that's called common chiropractic myths. And unfortunately, a lot of the myths that you'll hear come from the medical profession. You'll hear MDs who say, "Oh, don't take your kid to a chiropractor. He doesn't need that."
Well, no, he wants to sell you more stuff.
Exactly. I mean, we're in the age now where most people don't listen to the MD and think what he says is what God's word. Used to be what the MD said was God's word, and you just did it. Now, most people can think for themselves, and they'll research it. And all you've got to do is do some research on what chiropractic care does for kids. And that's one of the myths. Chiropractic isn't appropriate for children. And that's not true. We work on kids all the time. In fact, I have adjusted my kids since they were very first born. And I adjust my kids once a week.
Well, and last week we were talking about chiropractic care during a pregnancy. And
right.
post-birth.
And right after birth. And what
I think that'd be very beneficial.
Yeah, for the mother, and when she's remodeling, getting put back together from birth, and the pelvis is growing back together.
That'd be very beneficial.
All of that is very beneficial to be adjusted during those phases. And so, along with kids too, kids is part of it. Because of the birth process, there's a lot of trauma involved there, especially if that kid's got their head yanked around at all from being pulled out of the womb, all that stuff. But it is appropriate for children, and you have to think about what children do to themselves on a daily basis. They're throwing themselves around, and
I wish I had their energy level.
Exactly. And so, yeah, it's definitely appropriate for children. But that's one of them. If you go there, I'm not going to go through all the things underneath those topics, but I just want to hit on the topics. One of them is chiropractic isn't scientific. And of course it is scientific. If you read, there's plenty of studies on chiropractic, plenty of journals that have been written about from chiropractic care. Or chiropractors are poorly educated is another one. And if you actually
just look at my student loan book,
right? Exactly. If you actually, there's actually if you Google it, you can compare what a chiropractor does school-wise versus what an MD does school-wise. And on the musculoskeletal part of it, we're way beyond what an MD ever learns. So, I mean, it's very intensive. The schooling that we get is very, very intensive. So, chiropractors aren't real doctors. I've heard that one before too, and of course we are.
Does that mean I got to change my phone?
Right. It
says Dr. Osgood.
We actually get the Doctor of Chiropractic degree, which is an actual degree. It didn't come from a Cracker Jack box or anything like that. So it is an actual degree. Chiropractic adjustments cause stroke. That's one that keeps popping up all the time. And typically what you'll find if you do the research is that the person who had a stroke in a chiropractic office was going to have a stroke, and that just kind of triggered it. Right. And, it didn't happen because of the chiropractic adjustment necessarily. It just happened because it was time.
Location and phone number?
425-4424. And we're right across the street from Affordable Insurance and what's the Centennial Bank? That's what it's called now these days. So we're right across the street from there, right up the street from the office here. Visit the website, mountainhomechiro.com. Send me a question in the email if you have any questions that you don't know if chiropractic can help. We'll answer them.
Dr. Osgood helped me, and I guarantee he can help you. Give him a call, 425-4424. Time for the news. Be right back.